Iha samsare bahu dustare kripaya pare pahi murare. The Acharya has stressed the need for prayer. There are three stages. You are either in a position where you think of yourself as the body. Then you will need a statue. Talk about it. Think about that God. The more you do, the more you connect. Do the worship. Go to the temple. If you do this on a daily basis, you will connect with that God. It is a very difficult, shoreless ocean, and no matter how much effort we do, we cannot guarantee we'll cross that ocean of life. So the prayer is very important. Self-realization is God realization, has minimum dependence on society, enjoys life like a child or a madman. Now please understand, many people misunderstand this Bhaja Govindam. They think that Bhaja Govindam is saying, or Adi Shankara is saying, don't enjoy, don't create money, don't enjoy life, don't enjoy. No. Enjoy knowing that this will not last. In knowing that this will not, when you are up against a terrible calamity, it may not come to your rescue. But what will come to your rescue is that connection with that unchangeable consciousness which controls your mind, and through your mind controls your sense organs, and through your sense organs controls your entire experience of the world and reality. Only a prepared and a purified mind can seek the purpose of life. The world basically is a projection of the mind. When the mind ends or is dissolved, the world also dissolves. And the example is, into us in a common world, is deep sleep. Wherever there is a vision of difference, there is fear, anger, greed, pride, envy, and jealousy. But we don't seek it. Hence, seek Govinda, that reminder constantly at the beginning of a verse, at the end of the verse. You will not know how to use that power. So that is why here it's saying that. I'm going to recap what we discussed in the last session quickly. Then we will request Malini, who has kindly agreed to do the chanting for the last week's 5 verses. And I encourage everybody to make an effort and come and chant, because this is your only opportunity. That's why you signed up for a live session, and take the energy of the group to do it. If you can't do all 5, volunteer for 1, 2, 3, doesn't matter. But get over your shyness and step out of your comfort zone. Need not sound, as I was telling earlier, even I am mispronouncing it. My Odia accent is coming through. So not to worry about any of those things. The thing is, you must connect and you must read, because you must, after these 7-week session finishes, it should not be the end of Bhaja Govindam for you. And the only way you can do that is by practicing from now. So last time we discussed what? That we are made up of 2 energies, consciousness and matter. Matter, anything that is made up of 5 elements is matter. That includes our body, our mind, and all the things in the world. And we're also made up of consciousness, which is not made up of 5 things, 5 elements. So those matter, which is made out of 5 things, is transitory, impermanent, and consciousness is the only thing that is immortal, infinite, and permanent. So while we have to honor both the consciousness and the matter in us, which means that while we enjoy the material part of our life, we will learn to connect with our consciousness, knowing that the material part is transitory, it will come and it will go. It's okay. We understand that's the nature of matter, and we are anchored and rooted and grounded in our consciousness, which can never leave us because it is us. And we realized, we talked about the limitations of the worldly, all the things that traps us in the world, which is limitation of worldly knowledge, limitation of worldly wealth, limitations of worldly pleasures, limitations of worldly existence, and limitations of worldly relationships, and also limitations of worldly love. That's all you can access in the previous lectures. Then we talked about that even though there is this power, this consciousness inside us, which can give us security and peace, but it's always available to everybody at all times. But we do not make time to connect with it. And we can only benefit from it when we invest in that relationship, which is the bhaja part of it. This consciousness, this power is the Govindam, and the bhaja is the means, the Navada Bhakti, 9 steps and 9 ways to connect with this power. Then we talked about how do we start the process. The process is that verse 8, stop living mechanically. Question everything, starting with the most existential question. Who am I? Where have I come from? Who are these relationships? What is death? Where will I go after death? When you ask these questions, there will be agitations. You will never get the answers because as of now, your intellect has not been informed. You have not accessed that knowledge. So it will create a lot of agitations. But the beauty is that where there is a demand, there is a supply. So the universe will supply you the answers. And where will those answers come from? We went to verse 9. That's satsangatve, in the company of people who have already traversed that path of searching for the ultimate truth and are comfortable with it. And we talked about how association with the higher thoughts will help us to disassociate from lower thoughts. Disassociating from lower thoughts will help us to become to get rid of our delusions that the power is out there and we have no power. Once you get rid of the delusions, you will have a pure mind, and in that pure mind you will be able to experience and connect and become that supreme reality. Then we talked about the ladder of fall in Bhagavad Gita. We also talked about in this verse, it gives us the ladder of rise. We also talked about that self-realization cannot happen with an impure mind. So we need to do this Bhaja Pata, Navada Bhakti, to purify our mind, cleanse our mind so that it is ready to receive that and become one with that power. And what is that impurity in the mind? We talked about the 6 enemies, Shad Ripu, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. And we talked about the how we can overcome that is the sadhana chatushtaya, which is viveka, vairagya, sat sampati, mumukshutva. Then we talked about in verse 10 that ignorance can only be removed by knowledge. This ignorance, the avidya, the original modification of this consciousness, this pure power or this pure consciousness has been modified several times. The first modification is the avidya, which causes the moha, the delusion that the power is out there and I have no power. So we talked about that only jnana can remove that. The bhaja and the karma and the bhakti will purify you to receive that jnana. And what is that jnana? What will the jnana do? The jnana will tell you, will show you, will explain to you and convince you that there can be no effect without a cause. What is the effect? Effect, the pain, the suffering that has a cause. And effect is cause in another form. So if you have suffering, there is something behind it, your karma. So once the cause is removed, the effect cannot remain. So that cause is also the delusion that I am this body, I am this mind, the world has all the power, I have no power. So that is why it says ignorance can only be removed by knowledge. But your first step cannot be knowledge. First step is Navada Bhakti. Of course, knowledge is every step of the way. We have lower level knowledge, intermediate level knowledge, and higher level knowledge. Today, we will start with verse 11. So basically, again, the same theme is being repeated again and again, that the things in the world is illusory, transient, finite, and while you can enjoy it, you're supposed to enjoy it, do not expect it to last. The suffering comes when you expect something which cannot last, is not infinite, expect it to be there. So for instance, it's nowhere it is asking us not to enjoy the world, to make a distinction between possession and attachment. Nowhere it says do not possess, do not possess. And if you see great Mahatmas, they also eat, they also wear clothes, they also travel, they also go in the plane, but they are not attached to it. So tomorrow, if they don't have it, they don't feel agitated. So here it's saying that the list of things based on what we ignore that power, we engage and entangle with the world. We have certain basis which gives us the confidence, right? And it is called MP3. So first one is dhana. Dhana is money power. Then jana is manpower. Then yauvana is muscle power. So when you have youth, you have a lot of energy. Oh, you can climb the mountains, you can do many things. Jana, you have power, influence. You're an influencer. Either you're an administrator or a politician or a leader. You have so much pride. You have so much confidence that it'll carry you through everything. Or you have the money. So this MP3, money power, manpower, and muscle power. Based on that, we have such confidence that the world will protect us and will, be there always for us. And we have certain garva. That what is garva? That is it's a reflection of the ahankara, me and mine. The entire Mahabharata is that fight between Duryodhana or the Kauravas and the Pandavas. Kaurava quality is what? Me and mine. I am the doer and I am the enjoyer. I have all the power, and whatever power I have, I will enjoy the world. Pandavas represent our sapient tendencies, our wise thoughts. That says, yes, enjoy by all means. It's not that the Pandavas did not enjoy, but they were not attached to it. They could walk away. When their intellect in the form of Krishna told them, drop it, they were able to drop it. So Garvam is that don't be proud of things that are given to you by this world of matter. And that world of matter is called Maya. It is the original Shakti, the power of that consciousness that has created. Imagine there is a movie, we are playing a role in it. In there, we are a hero or heroine or a Superman or whatever it is. And we start believing that that is what we are. And when the role finishes, movie finishes, we cannot get out of that identity. That is the garvam, and that is the problem that comes with, oh, I am this. Identified with the money, with the looks, with the influence that we have. These are all borrowed pleasures. And that is what I think in session 1 or 2, I talked about the Karna Tattvam, Karna principle. Karna is two things. One is, he's also called Angaraj. So Karna is things that we hear that gives us pleasure. We only want praise. We don't want humiliation. We only want to hear things that makes us feel inflated. Garvam is what? Inflation of our ahankara. Aham akar. I, the form of me. I'm right. When I am here, I'm separate from the power and I'm separate from the world. And Angaraj. Anga is what? Body. So Karna is your ego, attachment to your ego. Just want to hear all the good things. And Anga is attachment to the body. So he borrowed pleasures. He didn't have his own. He got it from Dhritarashtra. And yet he was so attached to it. For that, he was not willing to listen to Krishna. That which did not belong to him, somebody gave it to him, and he became so attached to it that his viveka was not there to distinguish between which side to be with. So Garvam is that. And the law of the universe is this. Hareti Nimesha Kala Sarvam. All these MP3, muscle power, manpower, money power, like that. In the a blink of an eye, fraction of a second, it will be taken away. You will never be given any pre-warning or any indication. So if your entire identity and worth is attached to it and identified with it, naturally you're going to suffer when it is taken away. And everybody, it will be taken away. So moham, this we've been talking about this moha mudgara. Mudgara is the hammer, moha is the delusion that I am this identified with this characters that I'm playing, instead of understanding my real nature is consciousness. So when those dreams finish, when those stories finish, I can come back and rest in my original nature. So that once you have this wrong notion, I am that character, instead of realizing I am this playing a character, you will suffer. So it says it never belonged to you. Imagine in the Oscars, we all go and all these celebrities, big design houses, give them the jewels and give them the clothes, and they look so shiny and all that, and they go to the, but after that they have to return the clothes and jewelry, right? If they start believing, thinking that this is mine, and they start crying when the jewelers come and take the jewelry away, when the design houses take the clothes away, your body is yours, nobody can take away. In that example, I'm saying, but you have borrowed something to enjoy a moment. Give it away and come back. You can enjoy that moment anytime you want, recreate that pleasure. So being able to distinguish between possessing and enjoying versus attachment, that if that is not there, I'm unhappy. And the only thing that cannot be taken from you is that Brahma Padam, which is that consciousness. So this is the list of things that can be taken from you at any, based on which you have this garva, this pride, this confidence. I don't need God. I don't need spiritual practices because I have manpower, muscle power, money power. Don't be so sure. This too shall pass. And it will pass like that, and you will not be given an early warning. And if you have not prepared yourself, it can cause enormous amount of suffering and pain. Now, so this is going back to that, similar to verse 7, which is Bala Siddhastava. This is talking about, we know that we have to connect with that power, but when is the right time? So in the past, the Acharya has already told us, in the youth, we are so busy with toys and enjoying toys. In the, young adulthood, we are so obsessed with love and lust and bodily pleasures. As we grow older, we are besetted by worries. So when exactly is the right time? Because time is the relentless march of time. They're saying days turning into nights, and spring is turning into summer, and fall, and winter again and again. The wheels of time are mercilessly marching ahead. And what is the right time for you to prepare that? Because if you don't, you're getting caught up in the samsara. And what is samsara? Sarati iti samsara, that which is constantly changing. The law of rhythm in the Kabbalah, they say of the seven universal principles, laws, this is one of them. That morning will turn into night, and spring will turn into winter. So you must know when is the right time. This too shall pass. And many people have begun to understand, when they go through a bad phase, they have automatically started saying this too shall pass. How many of us, when you are besotted and bloated with ego, with success, with recognition, with money, do you remember to say this too shall pass? That is what, whenever you get the money, the success, the praise, to remind yourself this too shall pass. This is the samsara. It is enjoyable, but is constantly changing. And that is why we have been given this ashrama model in Bhagavad Gita. There is we have the varna, we have our tendencies. That's one that determines our dharma, but the ashrama also. And the modern world, the one thing that we don't do is, or rather two phases. The ashrama is four: brahmacharya, grahastha, vanaprastha, sannyasi. The modern world only lives in the first two ashramas, stages of life, which is brahmacharya is accumulating knowledge, and grihastha is creating and enjoying that knowledge, whatever you can get with that knowledge. But we have forgotten the other two stage. None of the modern societies are following. Second one is called the retiree, vanaprastha. Retirement in modern times means very different. They think that you will stop one thing and get obsessed and attached to another thing. So if it is not your work, it will become your hobby, your boat, your golf, your painting, your cooking, your traveling. You obsessed with that. If it's not your children, that is your grandchildren. So you just take that attachment from one category to another category. You are not detaching. The retirees are not detaching at all. And nobody, if some may or may not, nobody is going towards that sannyasa. They're thinking that it will automatically come, just suddenly, as if in the deathbed or in the hospital bed, we will renounce all these things: muscle power, manpower, and money power, and all that. We cannot. We discussed that last time, that if you have not done that in the past, you cannot rise to an occasion. You will fall to your level of training. So this vanaprastha does not, vana means forest, prastha is go towards it. Literally nobody goes to the forest. Maybe those days, 5,000 years ago, they did. It means retiring from active attachment. Whether it is your food has to be less quantity and amount of food, your possessions, your social activities also, even helping a lot of people, but creating more time for your spiritual understanding and growth. Someone asked last time, how do you balance? This is it. Balance does not mean every moment of your life 50-50. No, whatever you are doing, you put maximum energy and effort into that. When you're grihastha, you are not thinking about renouncing your duties and spending hours and hours doing spiritual practices. Or when you are a sannyasi, you are, instead of your children, you are totally attached with your grandchildren. So it is not 50-50, it is almost 100% to the activity that is appropriate for that stage in your life. And vanaprastha is what this one is talking about. When will you prepare? If you have not done it in ancient societies, whether it is Jewish or Native Americans or Indian, we have this what do you call the vrata ceremony. It is called Brahma Upadesa. You have bar mitzvah in native societies also. This knowledge is given to you before you enter society, so that your entire life you can use it. And now we have made it a post-retirement sport. Later, when I'm sick and I cannot do anything, cannot eat anything, cannot wear anything, that is when I will connect with Govinda. So that is what they're saying. When the day is turning into night and spring is turning into winter, when will you decide to connect with that power? Because unless you know how to withdraw from that worldly pleasure, worldly money, worldly knowledge, worldly love, worldly relationship, you cannot connect with this anchor, which is that sadhana you have to do. And that is the sadhana. The more you do, the more confidence it will give you. For what? It will not take away death and disease, but it will give you the confidence to be fearless in the face of death and disease, whether it is your own or your loved ones. Because ultimately, the matter, we know, anything made out of 5 elements will go. That is the nature of matter. The delusion is thinking it will never go. So that is verse 12. So here, what they're saying is, you have to remember, we have started questioning already. That was, where was it? Verse 8, Kate Kanta, repeating the same thing, because you will be constantly asking these questions. Asking once or twice will not give you the answer. You have to understand that one of the reasons why we are not able to connect with that, do more, increase our spiritual practices so as to connect with the Govinda principle, that supreme reality, because the second obstacles that Hanumanji faced when he jumped the ocean, which was Surasa. What is Surasa? Relationships and our responsibilities. So every time we want to do something, we say, oh, my husband needs me, oh, my wife needs me, oh, my children need me, oh, my work needs me. And all that is fine. You need to do that. But you have to, when it becomes obsessive, especially in your Vanaprastha stage, you have to ask, who is this wife or husband? Who are these children? Because we are giving up our entire liberation and moksha for somebody or people that in this life they may be your wife as husband, children, and son and daughter. But as we know, we have more than one lifetime, and it is obvious from the past life regressions that has been gaining so much traction in these days. And we have people who have reincarnation stories. They are born 2-year-old, 3-year-old, they go and find their older husbands and older wives and their homes thousands of miles away. So if you delve deeper into it, you will understand that sometimes our spouses and our children were our enemies in other lifetimes, who have come in this lifetime to take their pound of flesh. And for them, we are giving up everything, that, oh my God, for my family, I can't do this. For my company, I can't do this. These are here to help you understand that the world, enjoy the world, but also learn to use the world to transcend the world. And the example I'll give you is that of a pole vaulter. In Vedanta, this has been used again and again. How do you cross new heights? How do you raise your awareness? So it's like a pole vaulter. What do you come? You come running with a tall pole, and then you hold the pole and jump. You keep on holding the pole till you are just above the that rod over which you're jumping, and then you have to drop the pole. If you don't drop the pole, you won't go to the other side. Similarly with circus people, when they're doing those swinging from one ring to the other, they have to swing. Unless they drop this, they cannot go to the other side. Same with a rocket. When a spaceship goes to the space, it needs a rocket. But once it enters a different atmosphere, leaves the atmosphere and goes, it has to, the rocket has to fall away. So this is what they're saying, that these relationships, this company, this money, this name, fame, these are all necessary to be able to cross. We have come here to clean our karma, to wipe that board of things that you owe to people, to harmonize and understand that you have deviated from the divine law. You have come to harmonize it. So you need these teachers. I call them adversary. Noble because they have come here to teach. Adversaries because most of the time they are very painful relationships. So that's why we have to ask yourself, I'm giving up my only ticket to freedom for people. Who is this spouse and who is the children? Yes, I have responsibility. Nowhere it says drop your responsibility. But somebody asked, how do you balance? Yes, you have to understand how much time am I dedicating to my MP3, muscle power, manpower, and money power, and how much time am I dedicating to my consciousness, the one that will always stay with me, and the one that is constantly changing, is coming for enjoyment and moving away. You'll have to decide when time is relentlessly marching and how much time I'll create for that. And also understanding that here it says, when we say, it's not right, I'm responsible for this, I'm responsible for my home, for my company, for my children, you have to understand, do you really have that kind of control that you think you're indispensable? The power that runs the sun and the moons and the planets, the power that runs every organ in your body, you have no control over it. and life will go on with or without you. And it has been proven many times, when a child is born and the mother passes away in the delivery, that child can also live and prosper and succeed. So that shows us how little we are needed. We are here to enjoy life. We are not indispensable. And we make ourselves feel, this is the garvam. Oh, without me, the world will not run. The world will run just fine. The moment you die, people will move on. 13 days is in our culture. After that, people will move on. They have to move on. They have no choice. So that is why you have to understand that the power that is running the planets, the power that's running galaxies, the power that's running the intricate, complicated human system and all the organisms, that will take care of your responsibilities and your relationships. You just make time to connect with that power that runs everything. So this is the meaning of this verse, which is when you catch yourself saying, oh, I can't do this because my children need me. Oh, I can't do this because my spouse needs me. Oh, I can't do this because my career needs me. Because tomorrow you will have a stroke. All three of them won't be able to help you. But if you have already established a relationship, there are plenty of stories that tell you how that power will help you. Okay, so we talked about, the time is coming and going. When is the right time? Then we have to, ask ourselves, oh, the relationships, oh, the responsibility. For that also, the Acharya has given us a perspective and solution. Now, how, the satsangat, where somebody asked how to choose a guru then? Because somebody's guru or the people who have already mastered the act of the art of that connecting with the supreme reality. So how to choose a guru is the next. We are now convinced that we have to look for satsangatva, people who have already spent lifetimes and in this lifetime many years understanding that, and they will help us associate with the higher thoughts and disassociate with lower thoughts. But who are these people? What is their how do we find out? This is a very important phase, because it says here how to choose a guru. Mostly when we look at a guru, even the Western world gets deluded. Eastern world to chodo, India, which is people who have this matted hair. You look at those Aghori sadhus or somebody who's shaven or wearing the typical orange clothes. And we think these are the gurus, and we run after guru, after guru, after guru, thinking this is the satsang. Not understanding that don't judge a book by its cover. So don't judge a guru at satsang by what they're wearing and their hairstyles, because most of them, whether they have matted locks or no locks, or one by one they've pulled out the locks, or they're wearing white robes, orange robes, maroon robes, don't go by that. Because even though they are looking at reality, they have not understood, and certainly you are looking at them and thinking they are the satsang. They are not. And ironically enough, when did Sita get captured or kidnapped by her ego, Ravana? Which Bhesha, that is the easiest, what should I say, easiest, what is it called, personality, dress to fool somebody. So Ravana could have chosen to be anything, but he chose to come as a sadhu, orange dress, matted hair, asking for bhiksha. And Sita, who should have known, normally she would have, because she is no ordinary woman. She is Janaka's daughter. She is extremely educated, erudite, wise. But what has she done, which most of us do? Sent away her that connection with that inner power, Ram. Sent away that intellect, Lakshmana, and about to go beyond the three boundaries that her intellect has said never to cross. Because when we are in Rome, behave like the Romans do. If you're in the jungle, you cannot bring the rules or dharmas or ways of behavior from your civilized society into the jungle. So here, her ego made her cross those three lines, because she had no food. And she even told Ravana, I'm so sorry, Maharaj, I have no food. But that Maharaj insisted. If he was a real sadhu, he would have understood. There is a woman who, by her looks, they knew she's not a native. She's not a Adivasi of the forest. And no man is around. This is not her natural habitat. But he insisted, and her ego, I, the princess of, or the daughter of Janaka, I, the wife of Ramachandra, she could not, garvam, money power, manpower, muscle power, decided to scramble something in from the hut and crossed every boundary that her intellect had told her do not cross. And this is what most people don't understand. We think in the name of charity that we are going to connect with that power. Later there will be verses will say that is not the way, because this is not the place to do charity. You are in the forest, and you should have known that that when you are captured and kidnapped, a whole army will be sent after you. And how the whole Ramayana war was fought because you chose not to listen to your intellect. So that garva, that I will give charity when we have nothing to give but showing off, my name and fame has to be put everywhere. What is this charity? Borrowed pleasure, Angaraj. Get from somewhere, give to somebody. And in that we take so much pride. Oh, I have charity. I will go and help. I will do this. I will do that. So this is that garvam. Think, what are you doing? Your intellect has been gone. It gave you certain boundaries. You chose not to listen to it. So this people in the modern world, this satsang, the gurus, so to speak, they come dressed like this, as if they know. But the only test, litmus test, is two things. One is that they must be content in themselves and therefore be able to teach you how to be content with yourself. And they must know, equanimous, that if you insult them, they will not get angry. If you shower gifts and praises on them, they will not get excited. That is the only test. Equanimity and contentment. Because if they have it, that is what they can teach you and gift you. And that is all you need. This wisdom to purify the mind is equanimity and this contentment. If they don't have that, that should be your test. Who is satsang and who is not? If you see them getting agitated, gossiping, angry, upset, no matter what style and clothes they wear, they are not your satsang. So watch out for that, is what this is saying. And the guru or that satsang need not be in the older societies. That's what they used to say. It's misconstrued. It is not gender specific. Can be man and woman. It is not grihastha or sannyasi. We think that only a sannyasi can teach you satsang. What did Krishna do to Arjuna? Krishna and Arjuna both were grihastha. From one grihastha to another grihastha, the most highest knowledge was imparted. Krishna didn't choose to come as a sannyasi or a sage, just to say that this knowledge can be transferred by anybody. So you need not be a man or woman, need not be grihastha or sannyasa, need not be a Hindu, non-Hindu, need not be Brahmin, non-Brahmin. The only test is what? Are they content with their life? And can they maintain equanimity between raga, dvesha, craving and aversion? If they can, then that is what you need to learn from them. So this thing is saying, be very careful. Your criteria should be, watch them. Are they happy with whatever they have? Because Ravana was not. He got angry when she said, I don't have anything to give. And I have been instructed by my brother-in-law. No, he lost his cool. That was the first sign that this is not a sadhu. He is not satsang. He has not experienced satsang. But she, obviously, metaphorically, she sent away Ram and Lakshman. So she was incapable. The mind body, lower mind is incapable of understanding this, because the higher capacities have been worse. What the Acharya wants to tell us is that in the satsang, what are we supposed to learn? Mind control. Because remember, we talked about that metaphor of the ratha. The intellect controls the mind, and the mind controls the sense organs, and the sense organs control our experience of reality. So here, if you don't have the benefit of that satsang, who will tell you that, yes, by all means enjoy the world, but like that monkey, when that enjoyment begins to hurt you, learn to drop it. If you don't learn that, then you will suffer. So people without satsang suffer because they don't know how to handle the mind. Your greatest strength or friend is your mind, and your worst enemy is your mind. When your mind is out of control, what happens? This analogy you must understand, because it's a beautiful analogy. Ratha is your body, and the person, Arjuna, when you think of Bhagavad Gita, every book, that is the image we are carrying. Arjuna is the soul, the Atma. Krishna is sitting there as the Sarathi, charioteer, the driver. And he's holding all the reins which are attached to the horses. So the Ratha is your body, Arjuna is our Atma, Krishna is the intellect. The intellect is controlling the mind. The reins are the mind. And mind is controlling the horses, which are our sense organs. Now, if your intellect has not been informed by wisdom, by jnana, it's weak. And the mind now is going to be controlled. Mind is connected at two ends. One end with intellect, other end with the horses, which are our sense organs. And the horses are like wild. You know how we have heard about what it takes to break a wild horse. Now, if the intellect doesn't have jnana, it cannot control the mind. And the only rule the mind has is wherever I get pleasure, I will go there. So if the intellect cannot convince the mind that there is higher possibilities of pleasure, the mind is going to say, tata, bye-bye, I'm going with the horses. So the horses now, with no control, will be all over the place. Where will your chariot go? Each horse will go its own way, because the one controlling the reins doesn't have the power. So this is what it's saying, that if you don't have the right satsang, the right people to teach you this jnana, then what happens? Your intellect is weak and it cannot control the mind. So the mind is now at the mercy of your sense organs. That is where the Govindam comes from. Control the senses. Who will control the senses? Your mind. How do you control the mind? The intellect. How will you control the intellect? You go to your consciousness. You are not in the world of matter. That's the only one that's controlling. So you go progressively go back to that which controls everything. People without satsang suffer because they don't know how to handle the mind. It's as simple as that. What is Hanumanji? Mastered mind. Mastered. Why did he jump across the ocean? Because the ocean is the ocean of Vishayas, the worldly object. He says, I am not going to tangle with it. I'm on a mission. Why is he covered in orange sindoor? Orange is the color of the second chakra, which is what? Joys and pleasures. So you must know how to control. You must know when to overcome, when to bypass it, when the need arises. So that this is what is saying. And what is yoga? Patanjali's concept of yoga? Chitta vritti nirodha. Chitta is your consciousness. Vritti is the mind. Mind is constantly agitated, up and down, disturbances. Nirodha is stop it. So mind means a bundle of thoughts. If you have no control over those thoughts, you are at the mercy of those thoughts. So you have to create a distance, a little space between I, the thinker, and my thoughts. You are not your thoughts. When we say I'm not my mind, I am not my thoughts. I will choose my thoughts. Right now, the thoughts are choosing me. Feel bad, feel sad, feel angry, feel worried. And I have no choice because I've never established that control. It is pretty much like a child throwing a tantrum. The mother must know how to control that child. Everything the child wants, if you keep giving, will that child ever be placated and calm? Like training a dog, a pet. How do you train? That's how we train the mind. So here it is saying that the palitam tundam, even though the hair has gone white, the tooth are gone, body is, what is the word for it? Mind is willing, but a body is not capable of it. And what does this mean? It is saying that we can control. Normally, if you don't have satsang and therefore you don't know, your intellect is not strong, how do we deal with the mind? The Acharya has given 3 ways. This is the first one. Next class, we will discuss the other 2. The first way is given, indulgence. Everything the senses want, the mind says yes, 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 yes. I want to eat, yes. I want to go, yes. I want to sleep, yes. I want to drink, yes. I want to do this, yes. Because there is nothing else. So it's an indulgence. And this indulgence will bring you temporary pleasure. But ultimately, that intellect, which should have told the mind that don't go for the temporary pleasure, think of the permanent pain that will come after that. But the intellect, we have decapacitated. We have checked it out completely. Lakshmana has been sent out ignobly, right? So that understanding that if there is no strong intellect, Lakshmana is not in your life, then we become prey to the asuras. And the story of Rakta Bija in Devi Mahatmya, there are 6 kinds of asuras, and we will talk about that some other time. But here, the one asura that is relevant to this verse is Rakta Bija. So there was this asura who had this wish from Brahma or Lord Shiva that he cannot die, because he asked for, I won't be killed. Shiva said, no, that's not possible. He said, okay, not a drop of my blood can fall on the ground, because if it does, another Rakta Bija will grow in from it. So what is that? It signifies our desires. The more you fulfill, the more it will grow. That is just the nature of desires. Remember, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha. So if desire is not fulfilled, you're angry. If desire fulfilled, lust, Moha. And it's like putting ghee into the fire. The desire is ghee. Fire is there. The more ghee you put, you think it's going to calm down that fire. Higher and higher it will grow. So satisfying and indulging your sense organs is not going to bring you that pleasure that you're looking for. Yes, temporary pleasure will be there, but very quickly it will turn to misery, suffering, sickness, and death. So this part, that Rakta Bija, you have to understand that every desire you fulfill, 1,000 will come in its place. And it's like fire. Every time you indulge yourself, that doesn't mean that you will not eat. Indulge means when you should not be doing it. Your intellect should tell you, enough. This is all we need for food. This is all we need for sleep. This is all we need for ahara, vihara, nidra, maithuna. Ahara is food, vihara is entertainment, nidra is sleep, maithuna is sex. So knowing how much is enough, that is the thing about this thing, that indulge. If you don't have satsang, nobody will tell you how to train your mind. And the first, if you don't have the training, one of the ways which we handle the mind is indulgence. Whatever the sense wants, the mind says, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. 3 bags full, yes, sir. So that is why mind management is so important. So today we will stop. Next week, we will talk about the other 2 ways. Those who have not satsang, don't have the benefit of satsang. What is satsang? Training the mind. How are 2 other ways how we handle an untrained mind, and how the senses, wild horses, can take you hither and thither.